Yo guys, how's it going? Tonight, Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley both were fired tonight in Cleveland. Very interesting times if you are a Cleveland Browns fan. Hugh Jackson went 1-31 as a head coach. He displayed very poor offensive abilities. When he had DeShone Kizer, he ran DeShone Kizer into the ground. A once very promising prospect from Notre Dame, DeShone Kizer's career was ruined by Hugh Jackson. The defense of Greg Williams, I think that Greg Williams is a decent defensive coach. I don't think Greg Williams is unbelievable. He is all right at calling blitzes. He's very strict. I think he is a pretty good defensive coordinator, but I don't know if Greg Williams is absolutely elite. And now Hugh Jackson, I mean, first off, it's very impressive that Hugh Jackson went 34 games and he went 39 games and only won 3 of those games. That is incredible. That you can be 1-15 and 1-15, and it's not even like the quarterbacks got injured either. Myles Garrett was selected. I believe DeShone Kizer was. David Njoku. So, ironically, the coach, maybe the Moneyball guy that was in Cleveland before, that general manager, actually didn't do that terrible of a job. Whatever his name was. Deep Podesto or something. But let's talk about Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson, his temperament, the way he handled his assistant coaches, the way that he handled all the other coaches. Hugh Jackson just did a very, very, very poor job in Cleveland. And he got ample opportunities there to be successful. And even this year, he couldn't pull out overtime games. He then went up to Pittsburgh and laid a complete egg. He laid an egg at home against the Chargers this year. He went 1-15 and in baffling ways would find ways to lose. He was not a great leader, not a terrific play caller by any means. I mean, in Cincinnati, he was a decent play caller. But Hugh Jackson simply wasn't the guy, and it's a good move by the Browns to get rid of Hugh Jackson. And also Todd Haley, interestingly enough. I think Haley is a decent caller of plays, but Todd Haley's personality, his Bill Parcells way of trying to be Bill Parcells. First of all, Bill Parcells is one of my favorite coaches in Giants history because of everything he did. But at the same time, like, you can't always be a complete jerk and gain the respect of players. And I don't think a lot of people are going to miss Todd Haley up there in Cleveland. I mean, Todd Haley burned bridges in Pittsburgh. Todd Haley got into a bar fight in Kansas City when he was the head coach there, when he had Matt Castle. He is an okay offensive coordinator, but he's not worth all the headache. It's interesting that Greg Williams is still going to be the defensive coordinator. And now Freddie Kitchens, who was a quarterback at Alabama who worked on Bruce Arians' staff, Freddie Kitchens is going to be now dealing with calling plays for Cleveland. But these are the candidates that I think could be the next head coaching candidates for the Cleveland Browns. You have a Central Michigan guy in Matt LaFleur. If LaFleur and the Titans turn it around, LaFleur could very well get back into the mix to be a head football coach. The thing about Cleveland is that the Haslam owners, Jimmy Haslam, that's the problem with being a Cleveland Browns owner, is that you have the Haslams. And nobody likes dealing with the Haslams, okay? Nobody. Because the Haslams make things very difficult. They rule with their draft picks. You heard the Johnny Manziel about Haslam talking to a homeless dude. Even the Haslams have power in Tennessee. And for the Tennessee Volunteers, the Haslams even run that program. They're like feudal lords over Cleveland, okay? So the Haslams have a lot of money. You have a lot of power. John Dorsey is a good and stable general manager, though. And I'm proud of John Dorsey because John Dorsey's an independent thinker. And he made a ballsy decision to take Denzel Ward when everybody thought Denzel Ward lacked the size. Everybody thought, Minkah Fitzpatrick would have been a better pick at number 4. Or everybody thought that he wasn't even, one of the best prospects at that point. They thought that, the guard Quentin Nelson, or everybody thought they should have taken Bradley Chubb. But it ends up that Denzel Ward could possibly be the defensive rookie of the year. And that's because John Dorsey has balls. He had balls to select Baker Mayfield when Baker Mayfield's the smallest out of all the quarterbacks. And Baker Mayfield played in a spread offense unlike Josh Rosen and unlike Sam Darnold. So, I think John Dorsey's doing a great job, and I think that he yields respect. He's been in this league a long time. So let's now look at who John Dorsey likes. John Dorsey got along with Mike McCarthy very well, so he knows Mike McCarthy, and if McCarthy is fired from the Packers, don't be surprised if McCarthy, a Midwestern guy, wants to go to Ohio. So I mentioned LaFleur, who's a Michigan guy that I believe would get along with Dorsey very well, not an overly polarizing guy. Then there is a quarterback that I believe played at Oklahoma who's from Norman. His name is Zach Taylor. He was the quarterback's coach for Ryan Tannehill for 4 years, and then he decided to join Sean McVay's staff. He's the quarterback coach for Jared Goff. His name is Zach Taylor, and Zach Taylor right now is the front runner to win this job because he has Norman ties to Norman, Oklahoma, where Baker Mayfield is from. He is in the Sean McVay tree, and when you're on the Rams coaching staff, you're in the money tree. You are in the money coaching tree. So Zach Taylor's a name that's getting floated out there. Who else is getting floated out there? I know Dan Campbell's a name who's a special teams coordinator for New Orleans, who was a coach, a tight end coach who was down in Miami as well. I wouldn't be enthused with that name. Now let's get to guys that are elite. Let's get to the elite. Let's get to guys that are really fun. These are the 3 guys that I would target, and I would do it in this order. The first guy I would target is Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley, obviously a lot of people are going to say it's clickbait, and the chances you get Lincoln Riley are about at 5%. You're probably going to have to pay Lincoln Riley $12 million and bargain with the Haslams. He's going to have to get paid more than John Gruden. He's the hottest coach in college football. He loves Norman, Oklahoma. He has a great thing going there with recruiting. He owns the Big 12 right now. Texas is not close to Oklahoma right now. I'll tell you that. He has a cushy gig, a great gig that he got from the Stoops family, and he is a brilliant offensive coordinator, and all of his spread concepts are leaking into the NFL. You look at Matt Nagy, you look at even Sean McVay, Shanahan, Andy Reid, all of this is getting used from the college offense. So Baker and him would obviously get along, but that's kind of a pipe dream. That's like Urban Meyer coming back to coach Tim Tebow back when Tebow was on the Broncos or whatever. It just, was a pipe dream. So I don't think that that's going to happen. And Lincoln Riley denied those claims. Then you have now the next coach, you do have a possibility. It's Ames, Iowa coach, Iowa State's coach, Matt Campbell. Iowa State beat ranked TCU last year. They also had a very impressive win over Oklahoma. They're great at Jack Trice Stadium. Their defense is fantastic. I think Matt Campbell specializes on the offensive side of the ball, but he also knows defense as well. I think he's multifaceted. He's not just an offensive guy. I think he knows defense very well. That Iowa State defense is fantastic. The way he recruited Brock Purdy to play quarterback, he goes through, even his third-string quarterbacks last year were able to win games. He had a very, very good wide receiver and Alan Lazard. Iowa State didn't have the best talent, but they get their defense to play very sound. When you watch Iowa State play football, they are extremely sound. Iowa State had a huge win over West Virginia where it wasn't a fluke. They kicked the crap out of Will Grier in West Virginia this year. He's one of the hottest coaching candidates in college football, and he is from, I think, Toledo, Ohio. He coached at Toledo. He has Ohio ties. That would be a pure home run selection. So Matt Campbell, for me, would be a home run selection. Then number 3 is John DeFilippo if I were the Cleveland Browns. Because John DeFilippo, he's a guy that really stretches the field. He is an offensive coordinator that knows how to utilize David Njoku and the tight end. He knows how to stretch the field. He knows how to attack defenses vertically through the passing game, very aggressive, and really an elite communicator. So John DeFilippo would be that guy. I look at Zach Taylor as another name that I put on the list, but I'd go LaFleur after that. So my list is very similar to Jet Central's list. Kevin O'Connell's another guy from the Washington Redskins. That's the Redskins quarterback coach that I believe is a decent name out there as well. So this would be my list. It'd be Lincoln Riley. You're probably not going to get him. Then I'd go Matt Campbell hard at number 2. Number 3, ironically enough, if Matt LaFleur gets the thing rolling at Tennessee, Matt LaFleur is a guy that would maybe work well with Baker because Matt LaFleur, you know, I don't know. I think he's more of a spread offense guy. And Baker Mayfield's kind of that spread offense guy. Baker's kind of similar to Marcus Mariota and how they're going to want to play. So, but I'd still put DeFilippo at number 3. And then a name I didn't mention is Kendall Briles. I know he's the son of Art Briles, and everybody's going to ask about Baylor, but he really wasn't responsible for that. Certainly not to the degree of his father. He could have done more, certainly, but he's already shown great remorse for the situation at Baylor, and Kendall Briles is going to be such a big-time name in college coaching. He's a brilliant offensive mind. Wherever Kendall Briles goes, that offense is ridiculous. He took FAU with Lane Kiffin, and those guys were great. And then he went out to Houston, and now that offense is great. So it's up-tempo, it's modern, it's fantastic. Kendall Briles should also be interviewed as well. Zach Taylor, the way I think it's going to go, I think it's going to be either Zach Taylor, Matt LaFleur, or DeFilippo. I would be really stunned if they ended up getting Matt Campbell. If they get Matt Campbell, the Cleveland Browns could possibly contend for championships in the AFC, could possibly maybe take the AFC from the Patriots. That's how good Matt Campbell is. He is a rock star hire. So that should be the number 1 goal of Cleveland is Matt Campbell. So listen, the deal had to be done. Had to be done. I mean, you can't just sit there with Hugh Jackson. He's a sitting duck. John Dorsey's going to hire his guy. There's other dudes from the Kansas City tree, whether it's a special teams coordinator who I kind of forget, or whether it's Mike Kafka. There's other people from Kansas City that he might even look into. I don't know. The job is attractive because you have Baker Mayfield there, who's an exciting quarterback. You have Carlos Hyde. You have Duke Johnson. You have Antonio Callaway, Jarvis Landry, David Njoku. You have very talented players. And then, you know, on the offensive line, your right tackle happens to be very, very good. Defensively, you have Schobert from Wisconsin. You have Jamie Collins, who you can utilize well. You have Denzel Ward in the secondary, who we talked about, who is playing really, really good football. Buddy Calhoun is another guy who has made a lot of plays this year. The Browns lead the league in turnovers from a defensive perspective. So we can give that credit to Greg Williams. And then they have Myles Garrett and Emmanuel Ogbah. on the defensive line. So this is not a roster where you look at it, and it's not a roster where you go, this roster doesn't have any talent. This is a roster that has talent. So very interested to see what Dorsey does, and we'll see. For me, if I'm a Browns fan, I want Matt Campbell to come back to Ohio. Interestingly enough, today, Sean McVay for a little bit was leading the polls. Incredibly, Sean McVay was leading the polls in coming back to Ohio because he's from Dayton, Ohio. But it's not going to happen. Sean McVay's way too tight out there in L.A. Shane Waldron's another name that you guys are going to hear about. He's a name he is the Rams passing game coordinator. So it's Shane Waldron and Zach Taylor out in L.A. Hope you guys appreciated it, the video. I got a Jets vid coming up. Hope you guys had a great night. Really interesting stuff. Trade deadline tomorrow, guys. Get some sleep and relax. Big day tomorrow. Let's hang out and rove some more. Rover Sports is out. I'll see you.